Ashes of a mother's love. The sun had not set in 12 days. Red light spread across the sky like fire. The ground was cracked. Dust filled the air. Nothing grew here anymore. No trees, no grass, no life. Just silence, heat, and death. In this dead place a mother walked. She was not human. Her skin was soft gray, her eyes glowing purple. Her arms were thin, shaking with weakness. She wore nothing but torn cloth around her chest, and even that she was ready to give away. In her arms she carried her son, just a child. His breathing was slow. His skin, once bright, now pale and cold. The night would fall soon, but even the night on this planet brought no peace. The temperature would drop below freezing. Many died during the night. This mother knew that. She had already buried her husband. Now, she only had her son, and she had made a choice. She stopped at a rock, set the boy down. Her hands were shaking as she took off her last cloth and wrapped it around the child. Then she looked at the dry bush nearby. She had saved one small tool, a spark stone. She had hidden it under her skin, even when soldiers searched her. She pulled it out now. Click, click, click. The spark caught, the bush lit up. The fire danced. Warmth returned for a few moments. She moved the child closer. He coughed slightly. She smiled, tears falling from her eyes. She had nothing left now. No clothes, no food, no strength, only her son. A sound came from the distance. Crunch. She turned her head. Someone was coming. Heavy boots. Human boots. Dorian Creed was not supposed to be here. He was a human soldier, left behind during Earth's failed mission on this planet. The war had ended. The humans had lost interest, but no one came to pick him up. For the past 83 days, Dorian survived alone. He avoided alien patrols, hunted with a knife, drank from poison filter bottles. His body was tired. His soul, even more. But today he saw smoke. In this world, smoke meant trouble or someone in need. He followed it slowly, gun in hand. When he reached the rock, he stopped. He saw her, an alien woman, barely alive. No clothes, kneeling near a weak fire, holding a sick child wrapped in thin cloth. She was shaking. She saw him too, but didn't run. She couldn't. Her eyes were wide, afraid, but not surprised. She had already lost everything. What more could she lose? Dorian aimed his gun. He didn't shoot. His hand lowered. He stepped closer, her body tensed. He opened his bag and slowly placed a thermal blanket on the ground. She looked at it, confused. Then he removed his jacket and placed it on her shoulders. She froze. Not because of cold, but because no human had ever done this. Not in this war. Not for her kind. "Don't die," he said quietly. "Not yet." She looked at him with wide eyes. "You help me?" Her voice was soft, dry like wind. Dorian nodded. "Your kid's still breathing." The child gave a weak cough like he was trying to wake up from a nightmare. Dorian kneeled, wrapped the blanket around the boy and placed a heat pad next to his chest. The alien mother's lips moved. She was whispering something in her own language. A prayer? Or a thank you? Maybe both. The sun had vanished. The cold came fast. Dorian made a small shelter using a metallic cover from his pack. It was not much, but it blocked the wind. The woman lay beside her son, wrapped in warmth for the first time in days. Dorian sat a little far, gun in hand, eyes scanning the darkness. They did not speak for a while, but finally, she whispered, "I burned everything. I thought I would die with him." Dorian looked at her. "Why didn't you leave him behind? He's slowing you down." She turned to him, her voice stronger now. "He is my reason to live. Without him, I am already dead." Dorian nodded. He understood. more than he wanted to admit. Far in the distance, metallic wings flapped in the sky. Alien drones. Hunters. They had seen the smoke too, and they were coming. But for now, in the silence of that cold night, a human and an alien mother sat close, not as enemies, but as survivors, and something had begun between them, not romance, not trust, but something more rare in a war-torn galaxy. Hope. The stranger with fire. The fire was gone by morning. Only black ash remained. The alien mother, Zila, was awake before the sun rose. Her son, Naru, was wrapped tightly in the human's silver blanket, breathing steady but shallow. She stared at the human who had helped her. He had slept sitting, upright, his gun resting across his knees. His jaw was sharp, beard untrimmed, and his face scarred from old battles. But in sleep, he didn't look like a soldier. He looked tired, lonely and kind. Dorian woke with a jolt, gun raised, eyes scanning. "Easy," Zila whispered, holding up her hand. He lowered the weapon. "Still alive?" She gave a weak nod. He stood up and opened a packet. Something like dry human food. It smelled strange to her, like ash and metal. "For you," he said, handing her a bar. She took it slowly, eyes narrowing. "Poison? If I wanted you dead, I wouldn't waste food." She nodded once and took a bite. It tasted horrible, but filled her stomach. She looked at her son again. His skin was no longer icy. That gave her strength. As they packed, a sound rumbled above them. Dorian looked up. "Drones," he muttered. Zila's body froze. "They hunt the weak. Like us. They'll follow the smoke. We need to move." Zila tried to stand but stumbled. Her legs had burned on the hot sand yesterday. Her feet were blistered. She fell. Dorian caught her before she hit the ground. "You can't walk like that. I'll crawl." "No need." He crouched and gently picked her up. Zila's eyes widened. No one had held her like that since her mate died. "You are strange, human," Dorian chuckled. "That's the nicest thing anyone said to me in weeks." They traveled across broken terrain. Dorian carried Zila on his back and Naru in his arms. It looked foolish, one man carrying two lives. But he didn't complain. Every few minutes, Zila would whisper directions. "Turn left, there's a stone bridge or used to be." "How far?" "Half a day, if you're strong. I've carried heavier. Your people must love you." He didn't reply. She noticed his silence. "Did you lose someone too?" "Everyone," he said. "War takes the ones you protect and the ones you fight. That's the joke." By midday, they reached the old stone bridge, but it had collapsed. Dorian sighed, looked around, and pointed at a small cave hidden behind a curtain of dead vines. "We rest. Just for an hour." Inside the cave, it was cool. Safe. Zila lay Naru beside her and looked at the human. "What is your name?" "Dorian Creed. I'm Zila, that's Naru." He nodded. Then she whispered, "Why are you helping us?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled out a small device. He tapped it, and a hollow appeared. A young human girl, laughing, running through green fields. "My daughter." Zila watched the light flicker across his face. She was 5. We were supposed to leave Earth together. She never made it. Silence. Zila said nothing, but her fingers slowly moved, resting on Dorian's arm. It was not affection, it was understanding. "I see her in your son," he said softly. "I couldn't save her, but maybe I can save him." Outside, the sky turned black too early. Storm, sand, and ash began to fall like rain. Zila shivered. Dorian opened his bag and pulled out a heating module. He placed it near her feet. "You'll burn your tools," she warned. "They're not worth more than a life. Humans never act like this." Then, maybe I'm not like the others. Just as they began to drift into sleep, a new sound echoed. Not drones, something heavier, Zila's eyes flew open. No. No, no, no. What is it? Dorian asked, already on his feet, gun ready. They've come. Who? My people. My tribe. That's good, isn't it? No. She turned to him, fear in her voice. They hate humans more than they fear death. Chased by steel skies, the ground shook before the sky did. A deep thunder-like growl rolled across the dead plains. It wasn't a storm, it wasn't wind. It was war machines, hovercrafts, giant crawlers, heat scanners buzzing like angry wasps. They moved fast, faster than Zila had ever seen. Her tribe had come. But not to rescue her, to erase her mistake, to eliminate the human. Inside the cave, Zila gripped her son close. Dorian stood at the entrance, eyes locked on the distant dust cloud rolling toward them. How long? He asked. 5 minutes, maybe less. Friendly? They see you, they kill you, then me. Dorian exhaled sharply through his nose. Great reunion plan. He didn't waste time. He reached into his bag and pulled out a strange square, a collapsible carbon sled. He slapped the middle, and it sprang to life with a soft hum. It hovered slightly above ground. He gently laid Zila and Naru on it. What are you doing? She asked. Moving you out of their path. You'll be seen. Already am, he said, pulling a smoke grenade from his belt. Might as well dance. The first shot came before they moved. A purple plasma bolt exploded, behind the cave, showering them in dust. Dorian grabbed the sled cord and ran. The sled hummed behind him, carrying mother and child. Shots rained down from above, plasma beams carving the earth into glowing lines. Dorian dodged, ducked, and weaved. His boots slammed into the ground, lungs burning, mind focused. He had no plan, only instinct. Zila turned her head and saw one of the tribal hovercrafts closing in. It bore the mark of the Iron Fang, a brutal splinter group of her people. Her heart froze. They would shoot first. Ask never. Dorian, she cried. They'll kill you. I know. Then run the other way. He didn't reply. He only ran faster, toward a narrow canyon up ahead. The hovercraft dropped lower, close enough that Dorian could see the gunner's face. Alien. Cold. Focused. Zila screamed. The gunner fired. Dorian rolled mid-stride. The shot grazed his shoulder but missed his heart. He groaned but kept moving. The sled beeped, low power. It wouldn't last long. The canyon entrance was narrow, too tight for a hovercraft. Dorian made it inside just as another blast hit the canyon wall behind him, shaking rocks loose. He reached a small overhang and shoved the sled underneath it. Then, he collapsed beside them. Blood trickled from his arm. Zila pressed her hand over the wound. You're insane. I get that a lot. Silence fell. Just their breathing, and the far-off whirring of scanners. Zila stared at him. No human would risk this for a stranger. Dorian looked at Naru, then at her. I don't see strangers anymore, only people. She blinked. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Instead, she whispered, There's a place, my old temple, hidden. They won't follow us there. Dorian sat up. How far? Half a day, maybe more with a child. Then we go now. But before they could move, a shadow appeared at the canyon mouth. An alien scout, not from the Iron Fang, from her old tribe, spear in hand, masked face. He pointed at Dorian. Human. Step away from her. Zila stood. I'm not your enemy, she shouted. He saved us. The scout hesitated. Then he lowered his weapon slightly. Zila stepped between them. If you hurt him, you'll have to kill me too. The scout was silent. Then he tapped his comm. The mother lives, he said. She travels with the fire carrier. A pause, then static. Bring them in, said the voice. But if the human lies, burn them all. Zila turned to Dorian. What's a fire carrier? He asked. A myth, she whispered. A human who brings warmth in a world of ice. He raised an eyebrow. Well, that's new. She smiled faintly. You may be legend, Dorian Creed, or a very lucky fool. He chuckled. Let's hope it's the first. Between life and ice, they walked for hours, the canyon echoing with each step. The alien scout, tall and silent, led the way with his spear glowing dim blue. Behind him came Zila, holding Naru close to her chest, wrapped tightly in the human silver blanket. And behind them, limping but alert, came Dorian. Blood dried on his arm, rifle in hand. No one spoke. Every breath turned to mist. The deeper they went, the colder it became. The passage finally opened into a wide, frozen valley. Ice cliffs stood like broken teeth around them. In the distance, stone towers rose from the ground, ancient, cracked, half-buried under snow and time. Zila whispered, "This was once sacred ground. Before war, before famine." Dorian looked around. "Now it's a graveyard." "No," she said softly. "Now it might be a beginning." As they entered the temple ruins, more aliens emerged from the ice. Half-naked, armored in bone and crystal, faces hidden behind masks carved with teeth and fire. Spears and rifles pointed at Dorian. He stopped walking. His hand moved slightly, toward his gun. "Don't," Zila said quickly. "They'll strike first. I can't be unarmed. You'll be dead if you draw." He froze, then slowly raised both hands. One of the masked aliens stepped forward. A woman, judging by her voice. "You bring a human into our sacred place?" Zila stepped in front of Dorian. "He saved me. And my son. Twice." The alien woman looked at Dorian. "This world has burned because of humans. This one brought fire to warm a child," Zila said, "not destroy him. They allowed them to stay, but not with welcome." A circle was drawn in the snow. Dorian was ordered to sit inside it, surrounded by guards. He wasn't tied, but he was watched. Zila and Naru were taken to another chamber, an ancient healing room with smooth stone walls and flickering light orbs. Healers worked in silence. One touched Naru's forehead with glowing fingers. Another placed roots in his mouth to help him breathe better. Zila stood near the wall, arms crossed tightly. She hated being apart from Dorian, not because she loved him, not yet, but because for the first time, she felt protected near someone. And now, he sat alone, bleeding, freezing, distrusted. Hours passed. Finally, Zila was summoned to the main, fire chamber. There, around a great blue flame, stood 6 elders of her tribe. Their faces were not masked, old, stern, eyes like carved stones. One of them, the High Elder, spoke. "You returned from death." "Yes," Zila said. "And brought this creature? He saved us. You think that matters? I think mercy matters, if we still want to call ourselves people." Another elder asked, "Did he harm you?" "No." "Did he touch your mind?" "No." "Did he touch your body?" Zila stepped forward. "He touched my soul." The room went quiet. The High Elder's voice lowered. "You would risk the tribe for a single outsider? He is not just a man, he is a flame in the dark. When my child cried, no one came, but he did." The fire crackled. One elder finally said, "Then let him be tested." They led Dorian to a circle of stone in the cold night. In the center was a weapon, a blade made of firestone and alien bone. One of the warriors stood opposite him, taller, heavier, covered in tattoos of war and symbols of loss. Zila tried to speak, but the elders stopped her. "This is his path now," they said. Dorian looked at the warrior, then at the blade. He didn't step forward. Instead, he reached into his jacket and tossed something onto the ground. It was the spark stone. The one Zila had used to make fire in the desert. She burned everything to keep her child warm, he said. "I just gave them a little more time." He stepped back. "I don't want to fight your people. I want to protect hers." Silence. Then, the warrior bent down and picked up the sparkstone. He handed it back to Dorian and bowed. Later that night, by the great fire, Zila sat beside Dorian. Naru slept between them, his breathing strong now. "You passed their test without drawing blood," she whispered. He shrugged. "Didn't feel like my fight. They're still watching you. I know. And me." He turned to her. "You regret bringing me here?" She looked up at the stars. "No, you didn't just bring fire, Dorian. You brought something we forgot." "What?" She smiled. "Hope. The tribe that hates humans. The tribe fed Dorian from a distance. They gave him dry roots, meat like leather, and a flask of melted ice water. But they never spoke to him. Never came close. Every move he made was watched, every step judged. To them, he was not a guest. He was a threat they hadn't figured out how to kill." At night, the fire in the temple center flickered blue and cold. Elders whispered near it, arguing in their old tongue. "He is a spy. He is a protector. He must be judged again." Some called him a symbol, others a mistake. But one name kept echoing in the fire chamber. Flame-bearer. A name. From prophecy. A human who would come not with power, but with warmth. The elders debated if prophecy was enough to trust a man born from the same stars that once dropped bombs on their cities. Meanwhile, Zila watched from the healer's hut, as Dorian trained alone. He had turned a stick into a staff and practiced footwork every morning in the snow. Sweat froze on his forehead. He never stopped moving, even when his wounds opened again. Zila stepped up to him one morning. "You're fighting ghosts." "I'm getting ready," Dorian replied, not breaking rhythm. "For what?" He stopped. "For the moment they decide I don't belong." Zila looked down. "Then let me teach you how to belong." She took him into the caves behind the temple. Inside, ancient symbols glowed on walls, painted in starlight and blood. "This is the heart cave," she said. "Only the trusted are allowed." Dorian raised an eyebrow. "Guess we're skipping to the good part." She smiled faintly. "This is where the tribe used to bond, before fear turned us cold." They sat beside a small heat stone. Zila unwrapped a cloth from her wrist. Inside it was a small wooden token. Her mates. "My son thinks you are a warrior, and you? I think you are a test." That night, the tribe gathered for the ritual. A new voice had returned. Tarek, a warrior Zila once trained beside, now leader of the Iron Fang clan, the most violent wing of her people. He stood tall, armored in black bone, his eyes full of fire. "A human sleeps under our sky," he shouted. "He eats our food, touches our wounded." Some nodded. Some stayed silent. Tarek pointed his blade toward the flame. "We ask permission to challenge him." Zila stepped forward. "Challenge for what?" "For blood. For honor." Dorian walked up slowly, calm as a shadow. "You want to fight?" he asked. Tarek snarled. "I want proof you're not here to kill us all." "I didn't kill your scout. You killed our fear. And fear kept us alive." The fire circle was drawn again. Dorian stood inside it. But this time he didn't fight with fists. He reached into his pouch and pulled out a cloth, burnt at the edges. Zila's old robe, the one she had sacrificed to warm her son. He raised it for all to see. "This is why I'm here," he said. "Because a mother gave everything so her child could breathe. And no one came." He dropped the cloth into the flame. "I came." Tarek stared, confused. "You won't draw weapons?" "No, but I'll give you something stronger." Dorian reached forward slowly and held out his hand, not to strike, to shake. The whole tribe held their breath. Tarek looked at the hand. Then, like a storm cracking under silence, he took it. The tribe gasped. The flame burst taller. Later, Zila found Dorian standing alone under the frozen stars. "You gave him respect and he gave you something better." "What?" "Acceptance." Dorian turned to her. "Why does that feel heavier than war?" She stepped close, eyes soft. "Because peace is harder to carry. Blood, fire, and trust. The sky bled fire by morning. not from sunrise, but from betrayal. A flare alien made shot up from the edge of the valley. Red streak cutting through the cold air. A message. Someone in the tribe had called the Iron Fang warband. They were coming. Dorian stood on the high ridge, scanning with a scope made of earth metal and tribal crystal. His hands were steady. His heartbeat was not. "They'll be here by nightfall," he said, lowering the scope. Zila stood beside him, her arms wrapped tightly around her child. "You were right," she whispered. "They were waiting for the right time. They won't wait long." Back inside the temple, the elders argued. Some wanted to flee into the mountains. Others said surrender was better than extinction. Tarek, the warrior who once hated Dorian, now stood in defense of him. "If we give him up," Tarek growled, "we burn the only bridge we've ever had with Earthkind." "He is one man," an elder spat. "He is the only one who stayed." Dorian entered the fire chamber and dropped his rifle onto the floor. "I'm not running," he said, loud enough for all to hear. "If they want me, I'll face them." Zila stepped beside him. "If he stays, so do I." "And I," Tarek added. The room fell silent. By dusk, the plan was set. They would not run. They would stand. Dorian took charge of the defense, not with commands, but with presence. He taught them how to hold position, how to angle shields, how to listen to vibrations in the ground. The tribe watched him move, not like a conqueror, but like a guardian. When night fell, the Iron Fang warband arrived. Black-armored beasts, drones, guns with smoking barrels. Their war leader, face painted with ash, stepped forward. "Send out the human," he roared, "and we won't burn your bones." The tribe said nothing. Then, Dorian stepped out of the shadows, but not alone. Zila on one side, Tarek on the other. And behind them, the entire village. Dorian raised his voice. "You want me? Fine. Come and get me." The first shot came fast, a drone fired at Zila. Dorian moved faster. He threw himself in front of her. The plasma bolt struck his chest. He fell. Zila screamed. Naru wailed. Tarek charged, and chaos exploded. The battle was brutal. Screams echoed off ancient stone. Blood painted the ice. But the tribe fought harder than ever before because they weren't just fighting for land. They were fighting for something new. Trust. Tarek took down 3 warriors with one blade swipe. Zila, fueled by rage and love, grabbed a fallen rifle and held the line. But Dorian, he didn't rise. He lay still, face pale, breath shallow. Hours passed. The Iron Fang was pushed back. Their war leader dead. The survivors scattered. Smoke filled the air. Victory came, but it did not feel like triumph. Inside the healer's hut, Zila sat by Dorian's side. He was alive, barely. The plasma shot had burned through his armor, scarred his ribs, but missed. "His heart, you saved me," she whispered, his eyes fluttered open. "Reflex," she laughed quietly. "You still don't get it, do you?" "What?" "You changed us, not by power, but by staying." He smiled weakly. Someone had to. Outside, the elders met once more. This time, no one questioned Dorian's place. The youngest elder said what the others feared to admit. "He bled for us. He belongs here." Later, Zila sat beside him, her hand in his. "Rest," she whispered. "You are not alone anymore." Dorian closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he believed her. The flame that changed everything. The sky was quiet again, but not empty. Ash still floated in the cold air, like memory refusing to settle. The wind whispered through the ruined temple, passing over broken spears and blood-stained stone. Where war had echoed, now only breath remained. And fire. A new fire. They had rebuilt the central flame from the bones of the old one. It was warmer now. Not blue, not alien, but orange. Human. Dorian sat beside it, chest bandaged, ribs aching. But his eyes were clear. Zila sat beside him, Her son Naru curled safely in her lap, fast asleep. Around them, the tribe no longer kept their distance. Children ran past him. Elders nodded silently. Warriors offered silent thanks with hand over heart. He had not just survived. He had changed something deep, something older than hate. A small ceremony was held. Not grand. No drums, no speeches, just a quiet moment by the flame. The high elder stepped forward, carrying a carved staff once only given to tribal heroes. "We have no name for what you are," he said to Dorian. "You came with no army, no flag, no command, but you carried fire not to destroy but to heal." He placed the staff beside Dorian. "From this day you are no longer outsider." Dorian looked at it, then at Zila. He didn't move. "I didn't come for titles," he said quietly. "I came because no one else did." The elder nodded, "Which is why you deserve them more than anyone." Later, Zila walked with him to the top of the ridge. From there, they could see the wide deadlands, the place where he first found her, shivering and wrapped in ash. "That feels like a different life," she whispered. "It was," Dorian said. "We were both dying back then." She looked up at him. "And now?" He took a breath. "Now, I feel alive. For the first time since I lost my world." Zila reached into her satchel and pulled out a folded cloth. His jacket, stitched and cleaned. She handed it to him. "Wear it when you go." Dorian blinked. "Go?" She nodded slowly. "Earth will come back. One day. They'll send another ship, looking for survivors, looking for you." He looked out at the stars. "Would you want me to leave?" Her voice trembled. "No. But I would never ask you to stay." He turned to her, eyes locked with hers. "I didn't stay because I was stranded. I stayed because you, felt right." She stepped forward, closer now. Naru stood at a distance, holding the carved sparkstone Dorian once gave them. Dorian looked down at the boy and smiled. Zila took his hand. "Then let this be your home." Days passed, then weeks. Spring touched, the deadlands with small patches of green, life slowly returning. Dorian worked with the tribe, taught them survival tactics, repaired old tech with human hands and alien tools. He hunted. He trained warriors. He laughed. He became legend. Not for the battles he won, but for the warmth he gave. On the first day of the new season, Naru stood beside the great fire. The boy lifted the sparkstone, and with practiced hands, struck it against a new bush pile. It caught fire instantly. Zila and Dorian watched from the temple steps. "What will we tell him?" she asked. Dorian wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Tell him the truth. That his mother burned everything to save him. Yes. And that a stubborn, foolish human just happened to walk into the flames." Zila smiled. "No," she said. "He didn't walk into the flames. He became one." Final line. Narration style. And so, in a world where fire once only meant destruction, one human lit a different kind of flame, one that burned through fear, melted hate, and warmed a forgotten people back to life.